Hi, this is the Diablo Podcast. We are online at diablopodcast.com. I am your so-called host, Flux, and it is Monday afternoon, and we just heard the announcement of the Diablo 3 sort of starting beta sometime later, quarter 3 this year, pretty soon, hopefully, or words to that effect. I am speaking today with Wolfpaq. Say hi there, Wolfpaq.
Hello.
And our German friend, Neinball.
Jawohl.
It's going to be like an outtake from Inglourious Bastards here with horrible German accents all around.
Absolutely. Oh, of course.
Yeah,
I guess
anyway.
the one thing is I have, of course, in no relation whatsoever German. It's just how my name came out.
I think Wolfpaq could probably be Germanish if we didn't know any better. You get the PAQ thing there.
That's just a way of making it because the CK was taken, basically.
Yeah. And then you did the 3 sevens just for bonus points.
This was from back in the day when AOL was first out and 10 characters was the limit, and I decided I was going to reach 10 characters.
That's often a problem in our forum posts, actually.
That's true.
You're WP 10 care, basically.
Yeah, QFT isn't 10 characters.
A little inside for most of our listeners there, probably. And just to briefly explain, with forums you have to post at least 10 characters, and you can't just click reply and then say yes. You have to. So often people will say like one letter and then just put 10 care. I guess we were all AOL inspired. Who knew?
Anyway,
trying to get back on topic here with our nice short on topic podcast. Today was the conference call, and we got some news about the beta. I believe I saw you in the conference call, Neinball. Were you listening, and what was your initial reaction?
No, unfortunately I wasn't listening. I was at work, so I just had the chat open and was going back to it every once in a while to kind of see what was going on. I managed to sit down and look at it just as they were announcing the beta start date there. So I, started seeing a lot of the people start chatting about that, which is, pretty cool. But I wasn't actually able to listen into it myself.
Were you there or in the chat, Wolfpaq?
No, I was not. Had a busy day at work.
Well, you guys just have your priorities all out of whack, clearly.
Yeah, completely. I know. Sorry.
What, do you want to earn a living and have a real life or something, or do you want to follow Diablo 3? I mean, come on.
If only we could do both.
Well, I can kind of do both, but not really either. But anyway, just for people who weren't able to attend, we did have a live chat during the announcement, and people were streaming the investors recording the conference call from the investors.activision.com website. And people kept sending me private messages and emails and such beforehand saying, how do I register for this? I have to put in I don't have it. Like when you register to listen to the streaming, you have to put like your investor status and your company of employment. And people were somehow arriving at moral quandaries about this. It's like these are people who have probably never put their actual birth date in the history of their lives on the internet into anything. You go to these websites, even like some of the Blizzard videos, enter your birth date to view video. It's like, oh boy, I guess I'm born on January 1st, with whatever date I can quickly scroll to,
Yep. Seriously.
I mean, nobody puts have you guys ever put your real birth date in one of those things?
Never.
And yet somehow they couldn't put fake company to get the Activision conference call. Like Bobby Kotick was going to show up their house with a lead pipe, which I wouldn't entirely put past him. But
yeah, that would be pretty awesome.
So anyway, we had over 1,000 people at one point in the chat. Never have so many people been bored by Activision revenue statements in my experience.
I guess it was kind of a boring topic then.
Yeah, it's we're all listening for the Diablo 3 beta announcement, which came at the very end of the call when Mike Morhaime finally got to say like 5 words. But they are conference calls for investors, and they have to give all these disclaimers and financial details and revenue accounts, figures and streams and everything, and it's not really for gaming fans.
Yeah, the targeted audience for the call itself they're the ones that were interested in the beginning of the actual conference call when they're going through all the financial data and such. Whereas, our type of community was sitting there waiting for Morhaime to get up there and start speaking.
Yeah, and you hear the questions afterwards. I mean, they're all from like the Financial Times and Barron's and the Wall Street Journal and such. And a lot of what they say during those calls is legally mandated. They have to, you have to give disclosures. We'll get into a point on that in a minute here, but just for you guys obviously saw what the news was, that they said beta starting they said they're into full internal testing now, which I guess means that everything is done except for polishing and maybe some of the BattleNet kind of features.
Yeah, it's alpha, right?
technically.
Yeah, I think the companies kind of hesitate. I think every company kind of has their own definition of what alpha and friends and family beta and, beta testing mean.
Oh, okay.
So I think if they said we're in pre-alpha, then that could mean something very different from what we think. So it seems like they just try to avoid, well, you know how Blizzard is. They don't want to give you dates or specifics on things.
Yeah, of course not.
Yeah, use a different terminology to kind of throw people off.
Yeah, but they have definitely said they're in the full beta, they're in full internal testing of the entire game, which I guess just means lots more people than just their QA staff. Like all the guys on StarCraft and Warcraft and stuff are probably helping out with that.
Yeah, probably.
Getting a wider array of feedback.
Yeah, just opening it up to more people, more ideas to go through and, just get more experience in there because this particular person might be trying something that this other person has never, thought of before, to run into different bugs and scenarios, that might glitch out when you have 6 of these skills and you add in the 7th, like the 5th talent point, your 7th skill. If you have this certain stack, it causes the game to crash or something along those lines. You just need, more hands on the game in order to fill it all out.
Yep, the more hours total of Diablo 3 that gets played before it's released, then probably safe to say there's a correlation between that and how many bugs there aren't in the release.
Yeah, we can get into a little bit of that beta stuff maybe in a few minutes, because people often submit themselves to the beta test and say, I'll play 40 hours a day and I've played Diablo 2 every day of my adult life. which is good on one level, but on the other level, they've got a lot of expert testers. They've got QA people that have played Diablo 3 every day for 3 years.
Yeah, it's true.
In some ways, it's much better for them to get noobs and to get more casual fans. Like if you saw the podcast this morning, actually, with the Seth Chazelle, the New York Times reporter, he said that some of the devs ran watching him play in the testing room because they really like to see new people play it and how they play it and what they're confused by and what they like, etc.
Yeah.
And that's, a beta test is not, it's not really designed for expert high-level game balancing. It's designed for everything in between, and noobs and everybody else.
Yeah, because if people have been following the game, for the past 3 years, they probably know all the skill names, they know what the interface looks like, and so they're going to get on and they're just going to jump right into it, and they're not going to make any mistakes like trying to assign a, in-town only skill to the left mouse button or something like that, something that they need to allow for.
Yeah, and also, they, being we, are so motivated and dedicated that we will figure out any problems. If there's an interface thing you don't understand, are you going to stop playing because you don't like it? Duh.
No.
You're just going to plow through it and figure it out. Whereas, somebody's girlfriend or their brother who's not a big hardcore gamer might be actually better feedback as they're trying to ensnare more noobs and more casuals who will become hardcore once they grow to love and like and understand.
Yeah.
Once they get addicted, they have the taste.
So, and also they revealed today that they're trying to start the beta during the third quarter, which was clarified to mean the actual calendar year third quarter. Some people were wondering because sometimes financial year quarters differ.
Yeah, every company has a different, fiscal year set up. I believe Activision actually, their fiscal year, coincides with the actual calendar year, so that they make that pretty easy. Yeah,
so Bashiak actually posted in the forum and quoted to me over IM as well during the chat because I was trying to get information on this, but he said that means between July 1st and September 31st. Are there 31 days of September? 30 days. No, 30 days of September. Unless it's leap year. Oh wait, no, it's not.
No. It's 30.
Yeah, between July 1st and September 30th, they hope to start it. And obviously we would like to see it a little closer to July 1st. But,
yeah.
So Wolfpaq, what did you think when you've got a 3-month window of opportunity now? Does this change your life in any way?
Well, the odds of me particularly being selected to be in the beta is pretty low. So, I'm not
you're on the podcast. You're a guarantee now.
Well, that would be awesome. But, it's not, I'm super excited. Blizzard is pretty consistent about their, the lengths of their beta. Like when closed beta starts, there's a countdown between the start of closed beta and release. You want me to talk about the research I did just a second ago? We'll
get to that in a second. Let me get Neinball on the same question, and we'll go back to you.
Alrighty.
So how was your reaction, Neinball? You have a 3-month window of when it should be starting.
I guess it was a little bit of excitement with a little bit of a sigh of relief. It's like we finally have, a set date kind of, for it to actually come out. Like, it actually is going to happen, so it's kind of that realization that it is finally in that home stretch and that the game is finally going to come out, unlike, StarCraft Ghost.
StarCraft Ghost where?
Huh? What?
Exactly.
Keep hope alive! Yeah, it was definitely the excitement that it's actually going to be, going through and coming up, and, just kind of thoughts of, dang, I hope I get in.
And Wolfpaq, you said you looked up the starting dates for the last couple of betas and how long they ran?
Yeah. The last 2 Blizzard games released were StarCraft 2 and Cataclysm, and obviously StarCraft 2 came out first. Both of them released in 2010, and the StarCraft 2 closed beta testing started on February 17th of 2010, and then about 5 months later, 5 months and 10 days, on July 27th, the game came out. And Cataclysm is pretty much the same story. It started at the very end of June, and then the game got released on December 7th. So, we're looking at almost identical windows of time for the last 2 games Blizzard released, from the start of the closed beta to the actual release of the game. And so they said that Diablo 3 would be starting in Q3, which is between July 1st and September 30th. So we're looking at
September 31st. I pointed that out earlier.
Yeah. September 31st. So we're looking at
on the Martian calendar.
Yeah, they would be bastards and put it out on September 31st, wouldn't
they? Diablo 3 becomes StarCraft Ghost, and we're all sad. No, but I was going to say, so we're looking at like a latest date of release of like February 2012, if they hold to their 5-month beta. Hopefully it starts in July, and hopefully it's less than 5 months and it comes out in November, but I wouldn't hold my breath.
Yeah, that would be, it's always a good bet to go with the later date on anything Blizzard says.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I mean, what's the last thing they finished or released early? I think we're still waiting for that, so.
Yeah.
So it's actually interesting because people have been saying, we've been throwing around this sort of 6 months figure for the beta, and I finally went and looked on our beta article on the diablowiki.net/beta, or beta as some people say.
Beta.
Well, we're mispronouncing words. I'm constantly saying artesian as though it's a bread. It's artisan. There's only one I in that word, so. Our next podcast on NPC, somebody hit me over the head when I say artesian, unless it's something I'm baking and eating with, butter.
Huh.
But anyway, the quote about 6 months that Jay Wilson said about the beta, we should just call him Jay Beta Wilson. That'd be nice.
That sounds, that's some alliteration there.
Yeah, he was doing a live interview during BlizzCon with DirecTV, where they kind of sit him down and they were asking him questions off of Twitter. And somebody's Twitter said, when is the Diablo 3 beta going to be? And Jay said, probably about 6 months before we release. So people have been throwing around 6 months, including myself, have been throwing that figure around as though it were somehow carved in stone. But obviously that's like the definition of off-the-cuff answer.
Right.
And he's doing it during a live interview to a Twitter question. I don't know how much less authoritative you can get than that, Unless you're, telling a girl I love you on the first date, because, we know what that means. But,
yeah.
But, so obviously that's 6 months, but that's in no way ruling out 5 months as Wolfpaq. I think Wolfpaq's figures, on the past betas is probably a better guideline than Jay Wilson's, very vague off the cuff remark during a BlizzCon.
Well, we would hope so, because it's a sooner release.
Yeah, I also really don't think that they might even have a beta for that long, because in Diablo there isn't anywhere near as much balancing as there would be in StarCraft 2 and World of Warcraft, which takes up a rather large, amount of the time for those particular games and their betas, is fine-tuning things to be just right. So that way, in StarCraft 2, everything is balanced to be competitive with one another. Each race, will do well against each other race. As opposed to like in World of Warcraft, where every single DPS class has to be within, X percent of all the other DPS classes. All healers have to be within, X percent of their healing capabilities. And tanks, all have to be able to take a certain amount of damage, do a certain amount of threat. They have all these things that they have to sit there and fine tune and balance to where they're not all exactly the same or using the exact same mechanics, but the numbers at the end have to be nearish to one another. In Diablo, you don't really have that aspect. I believe Bashiok even went through and said that your skill choices in the beginning won't particularly matter, but by the time you get into Hell, you can't just go in there with anything. You can't just pick 7 random skills and expect to, beat hell mode, but that you actually will require some, thought and choices. But that might mean, that there's going to be some go-to spells that everyone is going to be able to pick and be balanced around that.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point, because also StarCraft and World of Warcraft are obviously both esports, so for competitive PvP play, especially in World of Warcraft, which has, like you mentioned, PvE, tanks, healers, and DPS, but also for PvP, it's important to them that every class is able to put up something of a defense and something of an offense and be able to go defensive and have something that they bring to the table to make a competitive arena comp for them. So, I totally agree with what you said. And they've already said that not all Diablo builds will be equal or anywhere close to equal. So you're really going to have to put a lot of thought into where you spend your skill points, where you spend your traits, what you put in your talisman, and what you equip. So that's actually kind of exciting. Looking forward to not have such a rigid balance that World of Warcraft sort of locked you into.
And the D3 beta is not going to be the entire game either. It's not even going to be the end game. We don't know exactly what will be in it, but there's a quote from Bashiok. I'll just read the little excerpt. He says, while the beta will obviously be a lot of fun, should you get the chance to get in and help test, it will only be a small part of the whole game. Now, nobody knows what that means, of course, but the D2 beta was just Act 1 and the first 3 tiers of skills. So, they can't do full game, in-game testing, hell difficulty, etc. in the beta. We're just going to be testing probably Act 1 and the lower level skills, and maybe the arena and the auction house and some of the other kind of BattleNet features. And, obviously they're not looking for balance so much on that as playability and understandability and addictiveness and ease of access. So it's hard to get an end time on that, but it's not like we're testing the entire game thoroughly through and through.
Yeah, that's a good point. I know that in World of Warcraft betas, they have a low level cap at the beginning and then gradually go higher and higher and higher until you've tested all of the content. I don't think Diablo will do the same thing.
He said in his quote, "Some people want to know everything, but we're really trying to preserve the surprise and wonderment that we hope will come about exploring Diablo 3 as much as possible." So they're definitely withholding. I mean, who knows? It could be Act 1 and Act 2 as well, but I think they're going to be giving us a fairly small amount, just enough to give us all lots and lots of stuff to experiment with. And I think they're probably mostly testing, BattleNet features. Can people join games? How does the matchmaking work? How does the party system work? All that kind of stuff.
That ARM system that they mentioned in the interview with the Chinese website.
Yeah. Which nobody understands or even really knows what it is. I couldn't grasp it really from reading even Jay Wilson's transcript on it.
I think
it sounded like basically kind of an advanced looking for quest.
Well, yeah, it sounded like just a different way of making out the real ID. Instead of having the broadcast send out to all your friends, it might send it out to everybody, like in that particular chat room. Like if they have it, like the Diablo 2 chats where there's 30, 40 people per chat, you can hit that and it will kind of, send it out to everybody. Or you can do a broadcast to everybody on your friends list, not just your real ID friends list that, hey, look, I'm going and doing Uber runs, or I need help in Act 4, something along those lines. Just a broadcast to go through and show what you're doing. Or if they do the kind of little avatar type chat system in Diablo 2 chat rooms, it's something that you could just hover over their avatar and it'll just display something about, what you're interested in or what you're going to do. You're in a trade chat or whatever, and you just type what you're looking for into that system, and then when you hover over everybody, it will tell everyone, what it is that they're looking for. So that was kind of like my interpretation of something that they could go with it, although, like you said, it wasn't very clear or gave very much information on it.
Do you think that, this may be a tangent, but how do you think they're going to do quests in Diablo 3? It sounds like there's going to be a lot more of them, because, Diablo 2, it was only 6 in each act. Do you think that it's going to be the same way if the person who created the game has completed a quest, no one else will be able to join the game and complete the quest? Or is that going to be more open to more people joining and helping their friends get caught up regardless of who created the game?
I think to some extent it's going to be kind of what Neinball was just talking about, where Jay Wilson's talked about how he wants people in a game to be able to immediately join a new game and start up new quests. Or you can just replay the same content, very seamlessly, as opposed to we'll make a game called this, meet you guys in the chat room kind of thing.
Right.
So it seems like they're going to be aiming to group us. They're going to be having a matchmaking kind of system for PVM. Right. And it will group you automatically with people who need to do the quests you need to do, who are roughly your character level.
Okay, so like a queuing system, sort of.
Yeah, I don't know. This is one of those, they've said they're going to announce all the systems before the beta test starts, and I think that's definitely going to be one of the systems they'll want to tell us something about in advance.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So I mean, we can all kind of envision matchmaking for PvP, based on your, kind of your win-loss record and your level and stuff. But to think about it for PVM is kind of an interesting thought. You were going to say something, Neinball?
Yeah, I was going to say, in the BlizzCon demos, we have seen some quests. Just like the random quests that appear within the dungeons or out in the world, where you come across like an NPC and he has go kill these mobs and get this chest back. Go find all the lost souls in the dungeon and things such as that. But we haven't really seen anything that is anywhere associated with the actual act quests that we had in Diablo 2. Like, go destroy Mephisto's Soulstone, go here and do this, like the overarching actual, quests for that particular act.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe there's going to be a differentiation between primary and secondary quests, or side quests.
Yeah, there's lots of little, kind of random quests, I guess, where you just sort of find an NPC in a dungeon and you have to escort him through some place, or you have to keep him alive through a big raid of Fallen, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I remember it was the 2008 demo when you're in the dungeon under Tristram, and there was a place that you could go through and find. It was like the undead captain of the guard, and you had to go and find I think it was a chest or something along those lines. It had absolutely nothing to do with what you were playing in the game as far as the story of going and finding the skeleton key king, but it was just there. When you go through and play the game, I think that's what the majority of the quests inside the game itself is going to be like, besides just the overarching ones that will direct you through the act in the story. Which, as it's worked out pretty well in all the BlizzCon demos without having any type of actually overarching goal. It's just kind of like, you're in a world, go play. You don't really know that I have to go all the way over here or kill this particular creature or monster or anything. You just end up, going there through the demo. I envision the beta is probably going to be a lot like that, where you're not actually going to see the big cities and the story elements. It's just going to be you out there in the open world, just going and killing things until you reach whatever arbitrary, skill or level cap that they put on it.
Kind of ironically, the quests have actually sort of gone backwards from the BlizzCons, whereas 2008 had by far the most advanced involved quest, where it was the Skeleton King. I mean, it wasn't advanced in any way. It was kind of reminiscent of the Act 3 in Diablo 2, where you had to find 2 pieces of the Skeleton King's items. And once you had those, you went down to the third level of the dungeon, and if you put the 2 pieces on his throne, and then he awakened, and you get to kick his ass. Which, is not exactly, Revenge of Monkey Island or whatever, one of those real quest adventure games. It was very, very simple. But that was actually more advanced than anything in the 2009 demo, where the main quest was reach, what's the city called? Isengard. That's a different game. I don't know, I forget. But the quest was to get to the end of the level and then kill things. And it was like, okay. And there were lots of little side quests that there was the escort mission one, you had to get through the one dungeon in 3 minutes and stuff, and then the last year's was much the same. You had a couple of little small quests here and there, but there was no overarching do anything, accomplish anything. And I don't think that's indicative of what the game will have. I think that's just indicative of them not showing us much about quests at the BlizzCon demos.
Yeah, exactly. They're just not showing us what that system is for the actual storytelling quest for the game. That's giving you your direction on where you need to be going.
Yeah, I would also venture to guess that we don't see a lot of that in beta as well, like you were saying. I agree.
I think they'll do some effort to, I think they'll chop out any major plot points, and I doubt we'll get all of Diablo 2 was literally just all of Act 1. It was exactly the game. All the quests, you fought Andariel at the end, etc. There was no changes that I can recall. But I don't think that's going to be the case in Diablo 3.
Well, it'll be interesting to see. I think that this again might be a slight tangent, but one of the controversies around Diablo 2 is that was glitch rushing and the way that people were able to skip through the game so quickly and easily. And a lot of that had to do with the systems Blizzard had in place to grant quest completion and who they granted quest completion to. So if they really are interested in putting an end to that, they can lock it down really simply and say, if you want to get credit to go to Act 2 from Act 1, then you have to, be level 18. You have to be in the dungeon. You can't just be sitting in town, which is, I hope they lock that down so that the game feels right for people who want to rush through it, but also for people who want to take their time and not have their efforts demeaned in any way.
That was a tangent, by the way.
I proposed
that. Slightly.
Disclaimer.
Yeah, I don't think rushing is going to be a big issue in the beta test, really.
That's a good point.
I'm going to skip Bloodraven this game, moving right along.
Oh boy, slow down now.
Yeah, I know. You're getting ahead of yourself. You're already in the Outer Highlands. Oh no, the Outer Cathedral. God, I can't remember the names of Act 2 levels on the Diablo 2 levels.
Tomoe.
Outer Cloister.
Yeah, Outer Cloister.
Yeah, that's what I was searching for. So, for a personal note for you guys, if the beta were starting tomorrow or the beta is starting in August, which works better for you in terms of being able to pay attention, hoping you have time to play it, etc., or does it make any difference at all?
No difference for me.
If the beta were to start tomorrow, I'd suddenly come down with the cold and, call out for a few days at work. Yeah. August just allows me to plan it for a little bit better. My birthday's in August, so I don't know. That might work out a little better for me.
I just bring that up because I'm actually moving in about 2 weeks before the end of the month, and I'm doing all this apartment searching. I'm moving 600 miles north to Portland, Oregon, basically.
Wow.
And I'm doing lots of apartment searching, and I know nobody who lives in Portland, and I'm going up there in 2 weeks to look at apartments, flying up there for 3 days. And then obviously I'll be driving up at some point and moving in. So I'm actually very glad it's not starting right now, because my time for either playing or running the website would be really limited until at least, early June. So obviously I want it to come out sooner than later, but that's what she said, right? But,
there it is.
Yeah. But, at the same time, I was like, okay, at least early June would be great, just to give me a little bit of chance to get my personal affairs in order.
So now we know why it's been delayed.
Yeah, I talked to Jay Wilson today, and he really wanted to start it tomorrow, but I said, no, Jay, I'm moving. Can you guys put it off? And he said, yeah, just for you, Flux.
Yep.
We'll just make an exception.
Conspiracy theories.
One other thing. Yeah, that's all my fault. Those naked photos of Bashiak on a unicorn I have. Blackmailing. Just don't ask where the horn is.
Oh.
The unicorns make you horny, yes. So, just one other point on the announcement today. They said at one point this guy Thomas Tipple, who I believe is the CFO, the Chief Financial Officer of Activision. I may be screwing up his title, but he's some kind of financially kind of guy. And he's got a vaguely Schwarzenegger-esque accent, which makes his financial pronouncements wonderful. I keep waiting for him to talk about crushing Divimin and the lamentations of Divimin. But anyway, he made a statement that was, as far as I could tell, it was word for word the same thing from what they said 3 months ago about, I'll quote him here. Because Blizzard Entertainment has not yet confirmed a launch date for its next global release, Outlook at this time does not include a new game from Blizzard in 2011. Should we not release a major title from Blizzard this year, we would expect for planning purposes to launch a minimum of 2 Blizzard titles in 2012. And when he said that 3 months ago, I and other people took that to mean no D2 no D3 in 2011, and there was Forumgeddon.
Right.
And immediately Bashiak and actually Mike Morhaime the next day both made comments saying that's not what it means. It means it's a financial sort of prediction. We can't say 2011 if we're not certain we can make 2011, and we're still really hoping to get it out in 2011. And I only bring this up because in our news post about the chat, I immediately saw several comments saying no D3 in 2011. They said no game this year. So I don't know if you guys caught that or not, since you weren't listening, since you were at work, being real people. You probably saw a girl too. Bastards.
Perhaps.
No girls on the internet.
Nope.
So yeah, just to bring that up again, what's in the news post, that doesn't mean it's not coming out this year. And as we heard via Wolfpaq's brilliant detective work, that if the beta starts in early July, there's a pretty good chance the game will be out in December. So.
Yeah, I hope so.
All will be well.
And
Yeah, because
well,
go ahead.
That was nicely timed.
Oh,
Thanks for the dance, guys.
All right, I was going to say, like Nine said, Diablo shouldn't be as difficult of a game or as complex of a game to balance as StarCraft or Warcraft. So I'm hoping that he's right and the beta is even shorter.
Didn't the other one of you want to talk 2 seconds ago?
Yes.
yeah, I was just making sure that he was finished. But what I was going to say is, about that, all those financial statements and such, they're required to do that by their shareholders. They have to actually go through and make very accurate financial, analysis of everything that they're going to be doing that year for their shareholders, and to go through and have all the nice, pretty spreadsheets and things to say, this is why you should buy our stock. This is how we're going to perform financially. We're going to continue to grow, and, yada, yada, yada. If they can't 100% say for certain that Diablo 3 is going to launch in this year, they're not going to include it in their financial estimates, because at that point you're going to be taking a huge loss once they go into that quarter, because, they didn't release the game in that quarter. So now all of a sudden you have this, 4 or 5 million, seller game not come out, and it's going to completely destroy their financial reports and earnings compared to their, estimates previously. Once they actually can go through and nail down release date for the game, they'll add it into that quarter's, financial analysis, so that way they can, have a much prettier spreadsheet for, their shareholders and things like that. Because they can't hold or keep anything back and just surprise people. They want people to know that they're going to come out with this game, so that way they can record it in their financial planning.
And the converse is true also. They can't make predictions that won't happen, and they can't not make predictions that will happen.
Especially with something that's going to be any title that Blizzard is going to release. I mean, what was it? I think StarCraft 2 sold like almost like 3 or 4 million copies in its first week. That amount of sales, you can't just, not account for at the end of your month. You're gonna come in and say that, well, we missed our financial goal by $500 million. That would ruin their shares.
And they also can't say, WoW expansion pack's coming out next month and Diablo 3, and then the stock goes up 30 points, and they say, just kidding.
Yeah.
They're like federal laws. The SEC has laws about this kind of thing. So.
And they sell all their stock when the price goes up.
Yeah, and Bobby's eyes would be squinting out from behind bars if that happened. So.
Yeah.
So, I guess we can do a little bit of general beta test. Wish, wish, hope, hope, dream, dream. I mean, you guys have Neinball. You've played Diablo 3 a little bit. You were on our podcasts about BlizzCon.
Mm-hmm.
You have not played yet, Wolfpaq. Am I correct?
Not yet.
And if the beta started
One
tomorrow,
day.
If beta started, next week, and you got an email saying you're in the beta, what would your reaction be? I mean, how many laps would you run around your house?
Oh, I would be ecstatic. I'd have trouble sleeping. It would be like being a kid all over again, where I'm waiting for Christmas, except for Diablo 3 beta.
Yeah, instead of Santa coming down the chimney, it'll be Diablo.
Yeah, downloading.
And you would still be excited, Neinball. I mean, even though you've played it at BlizzCon, you want, more.
Oh, of course. I mean, who wouldn't be excited? I know there's a couple of people that said that they don't care, they don't want to be in beta, but that it's mainly, I'm guessing, they don't want the story or anything to be spoiled for them. They want to be surprised when they rush out to the store at midnight and pick up their own copy. But it's something that I'm still looking forward to, even having played it. I mean, I think that probably is, just akin to an appetizer. It whets your appetite. Now you want more.
Or they are really, really, really want it, but they think that if they hope they don't get it, they'll actually get it.
It's like reverse psychology, or
yes.
Blizzard. Yep.
Expect disappointment. That way you can be even more surprised when it happens.
Yeah, it's like a psychological thing.
Yeah, I can sometimes when there's a movie that I know that I really want to see, I won't watch the trailer, just because I don't want any surprises or any spoilers at all.
Yeah. I know.
Whereas usually, if you're on the fence or you kind of want a movie but you don't really care, then you're eager to watch, the trailer for Iron Man or whatever. You just want to see some explosions and stuff. But if it's something you really know for sure that you're just dying to see no matter what, you might want to keep yourself entirely virginal, so to speak.
Yeah. It's actually funny because that happened to me a few years ago when Terminator Salvation came out. The movie itself was mediocre at best, but I didn't actually look into anything in the movie. So the scene when they had Arnold's head CG'd onto one of the Terminator bodies, I literally squealed like a little schoolgirl in the middle of the theater because I wasn't expecting it whatsoever.
The Governator made his return.
I'll be back.
Yeah, have you seen the new Conan trailer, by the way? Just totally segue.
Yeah, I saw that. We actually went and saw Thor the other night, and I saw the first trailer and was kind of like, okay, and then I saw the one on Friday and was like, all right, I think I actually have to see this movie now. That actually got me pretty excited, especially when he did the whole thing that he does with the sword in the original Conan.
Yeah.
Little flip around and saw that and yeah, I'm actually gonna have to give this movie a chance now.
His majorette routine kicks in.
Now, speaking of tangents, did you like Thor?
Oh, it was a pretty good movie. Yeah, I really liked it. Not the best superhero movie, but it was pretty darn good. I was the only person in the theater to actually get the Donald reference in the movie.
Nice.
But yeah.
I saw it this weekend as well, and I very much enjoyed it and would recommend it.
How did the box office do? I haven't even looked.
I know it came in number one. I think Saturday night estimate had already put it at like 200 million worldwide, 66 in the States.
I'm looking at the boxofficemojo.com here.
Is that 115? Oh no. Whoa. 241.
Yeah, it did well. I was wondering if that would work. We're totally off the topic of Diablo 3 here, but who cares, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly. You can edit this out.
Yeah, I was wondering because the other superhero movies, it's Spider-Man, or I guess Superman is kind of a magical guy from outer space sort of thing.
Yeah.
But generally the ones that have been successful are even the X-Men are just like mutants, or Spider-Man is just radioactive spider kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But Thor is like an alternative mythology from Norway.
Yeah.
And I realize he is a Marvel comic books character. But I was kind of wondering if audiences would accept this, and that it's I guess they did it in the movie. It's kind of like a parallel universe sort of thing. So it's not really that different. I mean, they're not actually saying he was a mythological god worshipped by Norwegians 1400 years ago. I mean, he's not actually the historical figure. It's not like the movie's about Yahweh.
Well,
he's like
he kind of is. In the movie, they explain it that he is this person that was worshipped, by the Norwegians and all the Norse. Groups and stuff like that back then. But it's, they explain it in the movie.
Do you know if that's the same canon as the comic book origin?
No, it's not. In the comic book, he actually is a god. In the movie, it's just kind of explained as they're just a different race that's existing on a different planet.
Yep, they're
aliens. that has the technology to travel back and forth between worlds.
Yeah, that seems like it's a little more mainstream. I was just wondering how they would work that in. Like if we had a movie where, Baganda Vita or something was the hero, or you just pulled something out of another religion.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess it's not really any different than Clash of the Titans at this point. It's gods that were worshipped by another culture thousands of years ago. But I don't know. I just I thought it was an interesting difference or parallel, or kind of a change from just Spider-Man being a guy with a web shooter and spandex.
Yeah, they made it work. They definitely made it work in the movie.
I'm probably just overthinking it though.
In the movie it's totally believable.
As far as these things go.
Yeah. Right. As far as comic book origins go.
So before not that our conversation is boring us, but just for the sake of the podcast here. Any final thoughts for you guys on the beta or about today, or you're just hoping for more news soon?
I'm really excited with just now that we have a timetable for when the beta is going to come out. That means we also have a semi-loose timetable of knowing that we're going to hear everything else in the game. If they keep true to that Q3 beta release before the end of September, we're going to have the mercenary system, the auction house system, that ARMS system that, Jay just kind of hinted at, and anything else that they have sitting around, planning, like the overarching quests, how you might be able to track quests, possibly what they have ideas for the in-game content, whether it's some revision of daily weekly type quests or anything like that. You know, that kind of has me a little bit more excited until we have a firmer, you know, start date of the beta. It's just the fact that we're going to actually have some big solid news coming, you know, from the Diablo front every couple of weeks from now until then, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully.
Wishful thinking.
That's hard. That's hard to imagine. You know, we go so many months. We've had I think we have since BlizzCon. What have we learned? The male demon hunter, pretty much.
Yep.
Yeah, male demon hunter. Couple little smatterings. The whole. I mean, I think it was actually that interview with the Chinese Diablo site that had like the most any substantial like release that we've had since BlizzCon. I think that probably told us
binding. Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, they've had no big website updates, you know, nothing new about Artisans, or it's just funny how they go so long without, God damn it. I don't know, I always see these ads for artesian baked bread, and that's the word that's stuck in my head. Artisans, blacksmith. But it's gonna be interesting, yeah, I mean, we might actually get regular big news on, you know, every 3-4 weeks, not just this, you know, Facebook stuff that we've complained about in the past.
Yeah, the pictures.
Which is actually almost over. They're in the final stretch. We've only got like 4 more to go for the Facebook thing, don't we?
I think they're at 900K now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we've got just 4 more, and they've said the million will be a bigger announcement, more pictures. Maybe we can get 5 pictures we've already seen before instead of just 1 picture cards.
Yeah. That just reminds me of like just, you know, as I appreciate the stuff that they're doing with the Facebook, at least going through and attempting to give us the new artwork and, you know, things that might be not readily available out there. But I think that there's so much more that they could do with that, like taking concept art of things that we've seen rendered in game that haven't seen concept art for. Like we could see more concept art for the Siege Breakers because I think there's only like 2 images out there, or, you know, concept art for the Skeleton King, or go through and give us the in-game renders of things that we've only seen in the concept art. Like, can we see like an in-game render of Tyrael or an in-game render of the Maiden of Pain? You know, that's things that we've already seen and we know exist, so it's not going to be a big spoiler, but it's something that people would just drool over if they actually went through and released that. That's something that even the hardcore fans could appreciate.
Yeah.
And they could easily, you know, thematically do stuff, you know, I mean, you get concept art of whatever, you know, of Siegebreaker, and then you get a screenshot of Siegebreaker, and then you get a short movie of Siegebreaker, and then you get, you know, a paragraph from some artist about how he designed Siegebreaker or something like that.
Yeah.
It's just all in the same update, you know?
Yeah, which is, I guess it's really late at this point, but one of the things that I actually wanted to say, but we changed topics so quickly, back in the beginning when we were talking about the New York Times writer playing his demo at the Blizzard headquarters with all the different staff coming in, take a look at him while he was playing. He mentioned that one of the people that came in was an art director. So you didn't even just have the people that were doing the gameplays. An art director came in and wanted to see what his reaction was to the game from an art aspect. So, you know, things, even the art stuff might not even be set in stone right now, and what they're possibly could be changing and such.
And, I mean, the art director is also doing stuff with game balancing and overall design. I mean, everybody kind of works on everything to some extent. I mean, I don't think the programmer is going to go in and say, you need more, you know, you need a little more black on this screenshot here, on this monster concept, but I think everybody has input into various levels of things. I mean, they might have a programmer who's really brilliant at saying if skills work nicely for the wizard. You know, I mean, he has nothing to do with actually making the wizard skills, but maybe he plays lots and lots of wizard and has a really intuitive feel for how the magic should work.
Yeah, he could give a lot of valuable feedback.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, just I think it's like in the World of Warcraft side of things, a lot of the departments are very compartmentalized. If I probably butchered that word. But it's, you know, you have the one team, the systems team that's in charge of all the class skills and glyphs and talent trees and things like that. And then you have, you know, the art team that's in charge of all this other types of stuff. That the art team is then broken down into their different aspects, or you have your environmental modelers, you have your boss modelers, you have the armor modelers and things like that, but they don't really share hats anymore. To, you know, take their quote from their 20th anniversary video, is they seem to all have very specific jobs with what they're designed to do as far as that. They don't really hop back and forth between the design teams too much. They still, you know, talk and, you know, share their ideas a whole lot, but They still are pretty much focused entirely on just that one aspect.
Yeah, I think like you said though, I think there's a lot of input. Like they've said for now they're doing company-wide, world testing of the whole demo. I mean, they wouldn't do that if they didn't want feedback and input from everybody. So.
Oh yeah, of course.
It's not. I mean, they're not like Runic Games, like where I talked to Max Schaefer. There's like 13 people working on the whole game. Everybody's kind of doing all kinds of different stuff. But yeah, I mean, that's another thing that came up in Max talked about that, and also we quoted Dave Brevik saying that from his talk he gave at PAX East about how he could put a chest into the game in 3 hours back in Diablo 1. Whereas to do that now, you need like 6 people in 2 weeks because you have concept artists and animators, and everybody's got their own different little hat.
Yeah,
which is why Diablo 3 takes 6 years to make. And
yeah, because you never get it right on the
first
try. It always has to go back.
Well, the chests in Diablo 1 were pretty good. I don't think that was a literal example of.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's like whenever you have something where you have multiple departments that work has to go back and forth between, it's never going to be right the first time that you send it over to the next department. You have the concept artist sends it over to the actual 3D modeler that then sends it over to the programmer, and then the programmer will say, no, I can't model this. It'll take up too much resources. Send it back.
Okay, guys.
All right.
Any final thoughts? We're happy to have some beta news finally.
Going back to promoting Diablo 3, back to when we were talking about Facebook and the pictures and stuff, another game that I'm following had a pretty genius idea. They are holding a movie contest and pretty much make a movie using any of our concept art, any of our pictures, any of our videos that we've released, and convince people to play our game. And the people who make the most convincing video get a paid flight out to the studio, get to play the game, talk to the developers.
And what game is this?
It's Guild Wars 2. Mm-hmm. And I just thought, wow, that's a genius idea, right? Because you're getting people excited about the game. You're getting the hardcore fan base motivated to get views and to get feedback and to basically do their job for them. And all they have to do is host the links and then and pay for a couple plane tickets,
Yeah, that's kind of like the evolutionary version of Blizzard's social networking stuff, where they're saying, tweet whatever you want, just put, Diablo 3 hashtag into it.
Yeah.
And if you like it, we'll retweet it. But, that's not quite as good as a movie and getting to go visit the headquarters.
Yeah. I mean, that's crazy incentive. If they did something like it for Diablo 3, I'd be making a movie in a heartbeat.
Doesn't Blizzard have a thing going right now where they want you to make movies about your favorite Blizzard experience? I think I posted that at some point.
Yeah,
so their 20th anniversary thing.
Yeah, as part of their anniversary, it's some movie contest trying to recapture like your greatest experience. They do a lot of stuff like that. They have I think it's still ongoing for World of Warcraft is taking a screenshot with the little Corehound pup that you get for buying on Authenticator. They have a screenshot contest for that, and they'll send you like an iPad. They have a whole bunch of different contests for like those types of things.
I like that. Buy this thing and take a picture of it, and maybe we'll give you a prize. They should have a contest. Give us a picture of you entering your credit card information for your WoW subscription. And the best one wins a Murloc.
Well, it's free. You can download it for free, both on the iPhone and the Android, and they have a phone service that, just tightly tracks your IP number. If you go from if your IP number changes too much, you have to phone in, for your activation, which all those things count towards that for you getting the pet. So they have the free alternatives there for it as well.
I had kind of not thought about how much information we had yet to be revealed, but since they've said that they'll do it before the beta test, we should start getting fairly regular news updates. It could be fun to actually have something to write about for a change.
Yeah, and just talk about it on the forums and on the comments and stuff.
And the podcast.
And the podcast, that's right.
Say some clever goodbye, Wolfpaq.
Ciao.
And German Ball.
Crush your enemies, see them driven before you, the lamentation of the women.
Lamentations of the women. All right, thanks, guys, and I will talk to you later.
All right, see ya.